Hello guys, today I'm back with Leviticus. Yeah, you remember last time? Yes, we finished Exodus. That's kind of good, but this part we need to, as we did every time, we need to do this one, like who wrote this book again. So let's start. Leviticus, who wrote this book? Moses wrote this book. Why was this book written? God wants his people to obey him. In this book, God shows the people of Israel how to worship him and live holy lives. This is why this book was written. It says, what happens in this book? Moses gives the people God's instructions on how to live. Moses told the priests how to lead the people in worship. This is what happens. And what do we learn about God in this book? God is holy and wants his people to be holy. God forgives people who sin. Who is important in this book? The important people in this book are Moses and Aaron. Yeah, we heard that Exodus too. When did this happen? God led the people out of Egypt. Then the people walked in the desert. God's instructions were given while the people of Israel were in the desert. Where did this happen? The people of Israel were camped at Mount Sinai when these instructions were given. What are some of the stories in this book? God forgives sin. Leviticus 4. Aaron becomes a high priest. Leviticus 8. Aaron's sons disobey God. Leviticus 10. I'm excited. God gives a day when sin is paid for. Leviticus 16. God sets special holidays. Leviticus 23. Well, you know it. Book time. You know it. We have pictures to say. Well, okay. Leviticus chapter 1. Rules for burnt offerings. The Lord called out Moses. He spoke him from the tent of meeting. He said, speak to the Israelites. Tell them, suppose anyone among you brings an offering to the Lord. They must bring an animal from their herd or flock. If someone brings a burnt offering from the herd, they must offer a male lamb. It must not have any flaws. They must bring it to the entrance to the tent of meeting. Then the Lord will accept it. They must place their hand on the head of the burnt offering. Then the Lord will accept it in the place of them. It will pay for their sin. The young bull must be killed there in the sight of the Lord. Tent, that's side of the tent, in front of the tent. And then the priest in Aaron's family line must bring its blood to the altar. They must splash it against the side of the altar. The altar stands at the entrance to the tent of meeting. They learned it in Exodus, right? I hope you remember. The skin must be removed from the animal brought for the burnt offering. Like the priest, like do the blood things, but you need to take everything off because meaning why would you sin? Like it's tired. It's not good sin, so meaning if you sin, it's your problem. Then the animal must be cut into pieces. The priests in Aaron's family line must build a fire on the altar. They must place wood on the fire. Then they must place the pieces of the animal on the burning wood on the altar. The pieces include the head and the fat. The inside parts of the animal must be washed in water. The legs must also be washed. The priest must burn all of it on the altar. It is a burnt offering. It is a food offering. It smell pleases the Lord. If someone offers a burnt offering from the flock, it must be a male animal. It can be a sheep or a goat. It must not have any flaws. They must kill it at the north side of the altar in the sight of the Lord. The priest in Aaron's family line must splash its blood against the sides of the altar. They must cut the animal into pieces. The priest must place the pieces on the burning wood on the altar. The pieces include the head and the fat. They must wash the inside parts with water. The legs must also be washed. The priest must bring all the parts to the altar. He must burn them there. It is a burnt offering. It is a food offering. Its smell pleases the Lord. Okay, so if you say it, I'll say it like easy as I can. So if you have cow, the bowl, you have a bowl, then you take the bowl. Or if you have only sheep, you can take the sheep, and if you have the goat, you can take the goat. If you have 3 of them, you can take the cow. If you have these 2, you can take the sheep. Well, yeah. Oh, so let's do it. Offering birds, and I'll say it. Well, if someone offers to the Lord a burnt offering of birds, it must be a dove or a young pigeon. The priest must bring it to the altar. He must twist. Oh, wait a second. So, if you even you didn't even have the goat, you could take the dove or a young pigeon. Okay, he must twist its head off. It's just not the head off. It's just like the head like that. It's like the buck. Okay, it's not the top. Then he must burn the rest of the bird on the altar. The bird must be emptied out on the side of the altar. Like if you cut it, there's nothing left. You need to squeeze the blood out. The priest must move the small bag inside the bird's throat. He must also remove the feathers. Then he must throw them to the east side of the altar. That is where the ashes are. So, well, if you do this, then you need to get the blood out by squeezing it, you squeeze it, and there's a bag inside the bird's throat, that's kind of a science thingy, but there's bird's throat, inside there's something in the bird's throat that is used to feed the baby ones, the younger ones, you remember, some birds throw out something from the mouth, and that's kind of that. So you take that out, and then you get the feathers out like a chicken, and throw the feathers and the throat, the the thing inside the throat to the side. Like that's where you put the ashes. It says it right. He must take hold of the wings of the bird and tear it open, but he must not tear it in two. Because, like, literally, it's like this big. You cut it this big. Then the priest will burn it on the wood burning on the altar. It is a burnt offering. It is a food offering. Its smell pleases the Lord. Okay, we did all the book. What's left? The box, right. Did you know what is a burnt offering? The people of Israel gave offerings to God. They killed and then burned animals on a special altar. Special laws told the priests and people how to make the burnt offerings. So say it. If you have a cow, bring the cow. If you have a sheep, give the sheep. If you have a goat, give the goat. If you don't have it, a dove or a pigeon. Okay, and we're going to learn how Leviticus, how to, like the Israelites are going to learn how to be holy, live holy, and more. Well, yes, time to pray. So, today was fun. A brand new Leviticus. Let's start. Dear God, today we learned about Leviticus chapter 1 today. Today we learned about the offerings to the Lord, and if you had a cow, you need to give a cow. If you had a sheep, you need to give a sheep, or if you had a goat, you need to give a goat. And if you didn't have it, you need to give a pigeon or a dove. And today it was a very good lesson that I learned. And thank you for being with us. Okay, well today it's an end of a video. Well, thank you for watching my videos. So I hope you see you next time. Well, see you in Leviticus chapter 2.